In a previous video, I mentioned that Stonky 0.7 alpha includes new features showing future fees and rate of return. In this video, I'm going to mention the third new feature that's added, which is additional charts in the dashboard. Now, if you're doing just an overview analysis, you'll really only notice one new chart, which is future fees by risk here. If, however, you're going to be doing a detailed analysis, you'll notice a great many charts. And these are charts that break down across time. So what was my activity in the last 7 days, last 30 days, last 90 days, last 365 days last year, or all my time on Stonky. And looking at these, I can see changes in trends. So, for example, I noticed that this A star figure has increased over time, whereas the A++ figure has decreased over time, which means that I seem to be becoming a little bit more conservative in the investments I'm making, a little bit risk averse perhaps. And that's what these are for, to be able for you to see insights over time and how your behavior changes. And so similar for payments received, showing the total amount received, capital and interest received. Those loans which are now completely settled, and it's showing the amount loaned and gross profit. And you'll see how small gross profit actually is compared to the amount loaned. We chase interest, we chase profit, but actually profit is quite small compared to the amount we're loaning. An interesting observation. And gross profit here, by the way, is simply interest and fines. This is before fees and taxes. Defaulted, those who have stopped paying, of course they may repay in the future, but here's a potential loss for each of these. Notice, by the way, that in this release negative figures are now in deep red. One particular user requested that. So here we can see that in fact the potential loss for defaulted loans is almost identical to the absolute opposite of the amount loaned, which shows that in fact the majority of defaulted loans are people who've paid one or no payments, which is very suspicious. It's not people who've fallen into hardship over time, but rather people who've paid nothing or one payment and then just stopped. And here, nobody has defaulted in the past week, which is good news. We see that there's no chart to display when there's no data to display. I'm not quite sure what I can do about that. This is just the behavior of Google Charts, but it makes sense. If there's no data, there's no chart. We'll leave it at that for now, and maybe in the future releases, I'll change this behavior. Not sure what it will do though. And finally, overdue. So people who are just a bit behind on their payments, but not so far behind that they've defaulted yet. Yes, and this data is taken, by the way, from the risk sheet, which is why the risk sheet now, let me just expand this, also includes negative numbers in red and last 365 days. In my case, the last 365 days of last year is equal to all time since I've been with Stonky for slightly under 1 year. For people who've been here longer, of course, these figures will differ. So that's it, 0.7 alpha release of Stonky. Thank you very much.